Welcome to lesson 20 of OpenOffice Base. In this lesson, we will be looking at queries part 2. In this lesson, we will look at queries that contain two criteria. Let's have a look at our example. Example 1. Design a query called example 1 to display the surnames and first names of all patients who belong to GEMS Medical Aid and have visited the surgery fewer than 10 times. Now, very quickly, I want to go through Boolean operators. There are two Boolean operators that we are going to deal with in this lesson. One is the AND operator and one is the OR operator. What this means, the AND operator, all conditions must be true to get a true result. That's very important. If any one of the conditions is false, the result is going to be false. Secondly, the OR operator is merely the opposite of the AND operator. Any one of the conditions must be true to get a true result. So it doesn't matter if any of the conditions is false. If one of the conditions is true, then the result is going to be true. So we're designing a query called example 1, displaying the surnames and first names of all patients who belong to GEMS Medical Aid and have visited the surgery fewer than 10 times. So my criteria is going to be the medical aid must have a value of GEMS and the number of visits fewer than 10 times must be less than 10. Let us go to our database. Again, we are working with queries, so in my database pane I will select queries. We are going to create a new query, say create query in design view. The table that I'm going to add is patients table. Click on add, close this dialog box. Now let's very quickly adjust the size of the screen. We want to display firstly the surname and first names, so we'll click on surname, double click on surname, double click on first name. We want to look at the medical aid and we want to look at the number of visits. I do not want to display medical aid, so I'll set visible to unticked in this checkbox, as well as number of visits. I don't want that to be displayed. Excuse me. Now my criteria, in my criterion row, I'm going to say medical aid must be single quotes GEMS, single quotes, or I can put is equal to GEMS, and under number of visits I would say is less than 10. So those are my two criteria, and when you put the conditions on the same row, then you will know that the AND operator is being used. If you put the criteria in separate rows, then the OR operator is being used. Click on the save icon, rename our query to example 1 and click OK. I can run the query in this dialog box. It will give me a rough output on the top there, or I can close this, and if I double click on example 1 query, it gives me a better view, a table view. Let's go on to example 2. Design a query called example 2 to display the surname, first name, date of birth and patient number of all female patients or belong to Discovery Medical Aid. So for my criteria, female patients, my gender must be equal to F, or my medical aid must be equal to Discovery. Going back to my database, again click on query, click on the task pane, create query in design view, add patients table, close this dialog box. I want to display patient number, surname, first name, and I think it is date of birth. I want to use two criteria, that's the gender and which medical aid the patient belongs to. Under my criteria, I do not want to display the gender and I do not want to display the medical aid. Under my criterion for gender, I'm going to type single quotes F because it's type text. The data type in this field of gender is type text, and I am not going to put the second criteria in the same row, because if I put it on the same row it would imply that I'm using the AND operator, but I'm going to put it on the next row. And you look at on the left hand column here, you have the OR operator, or medical aid single quotes will say is equal to discovery. We can put equal to, it will give us the same result. Click on save, rename the query to example 2, click on OK. You can run the query in the design view. It will give you the output table. Close this, double click on example 2 in the queries pane, and you'll have the table data view, the result set of that particular query.